Lady Justice used to stand so tall, blindfold on, she'd hear us all. Rich or poor didn't matter then, truth would speak, justice would win. But somewhere along this winding road, the scales grew heavy and the system slowed down. Money talks and power plays while victims wait for better days. Where has justice gone? Where did she flee? The blindfold slipping. Now we see the game is rigged, the deck is stacked for those who can't fight back. Where has justice gone? Predators get off easy while families mourn what can't be fixed. The courtroom doors swing both ways, but not for those who can't pay. We must fight for those we've lost, count every tear, pay every price. Stand tall when systems fail, seeking truth behind the veil. Where has justice gone? Where did she flee? The blindfold slipping. Now we see the game is rigged, the deck is stacked for those who can't fight back. But where has justice gone? Protect the innocent, protect the child, no matter race or creed or color, rich or poor, it shouldn't matter. Justice is what we're after for all. Affluence can't buy a free pass when children's safety is what we ask. Every child deserves the same protection in justice's name. From the courthouse to the highest court, justice feels like a last resort. But we won't stop, we won't give in until justice lives again. We'll bring justice home. Make her see that equal treatment. The key, fix the scale, straighten the stack for those who can't fight back. We'll bring justice home. Lady Justice, hear our call. Stand for one, stand for all. Put the blindfold back in place. Give us truth, give us grace.
Live on the air, it's Trial Junkies United with your host, Z.
Hello. I'm hoping, yep, I I punched the right button, so you all should be able to hear me. Yay! Hey, OnlyFan, Sleuthy Sweetheart, Chris G, Falla, Irish Amy. Thanks for showing up, and the ones that will join us later. But greetings to my truth seekers and my justice warriors. I'm Z, your storyteller in the wilderness of injustice. My ride or die doc is riding shotgun as we navigate the darkness where the predators hunt and the system fails. Are you ready for this one, Doc?
Always ready.
We're ready to shed some light on the forgotten stories that society really prefers us to keep hidden, especially the Dallas PD. Buckle up, people. The road ahead is gonna be rough as we take you through another part of a nightmare they call the justice system. We're taking you down the most twisted, bumpy road that has caused unimaginable tragedy for a Kansas family, with little to no help from those who have sworn to protect and serve. So, I would like to introduce you. This is Katrina, and she is the niece, daughter of the three women that we're going to talk about tonight. And I want to welcome therapist, and Capri Law. But everyone, please give Katrina a huge, big welcome because this is a sad story. She needs your support. So give it to her. Katrina, we're going to talk about this because it's not just the single murder of your aunt. There were three sisters that have been violently um, have died, and it's really a justice system that failed every one of them. Joanne got your one aunt got some justice, but still, they failed with what happened with your mom and your other aunt. And this spans 40 years, you guys, from the Oak Cliff neighborhood of Dallas in 1985 to their continuing fight for answers. And it's being led by Katrina here. So we're going to navigate through this nightmare and we're going to see what happens. And the story starts with three sisters. Catherine, who went by Katrina because you're her namesake, correct?
Correct.
Okay. She was the oldest. And then there's Joanne, the wild middle child. And then your mother, Deborah Mowrey, and she was the youngest.
Correct.
And they were born to James and Catherine Mowrey in Kansas. And they had a tough start from even the beginning, didn't they, with their father?
Yeah, he wasn't a very great person. And he's kind of how they got introduced to Dallas because that's where he lived.
Okay, because your family's originally from the Kansas area, correct?
Yeah. My grandma's family is from the Kansas area, Kansas City, ish area.
Okay.
We're kind of all spread out, but
that kind of happens as the generations come in. But in 1968 or 66, when Katrina was your aunt, Katrina, was only 5, all 3 of the little girls actually got kidnapped by their biological father from their front yard. And he took them to Dallas, Texas, right?
correct. Yep.
And your mom or their mom searched for them for more than a year before she finally got connected with her little girls.
Correct. It wasn't like, now when you have cell phones and technology and can track people or Amber Alerts, everywhere. So,
Right.
yeah.
So it took time. Now, Catherine Diane Mowrey was actually born on February 5th, 1961. Now, she got the nickname when she was working Katrina when she was working at the Dallas Country Club because the girls that worked there called her Katrina and she kind of liked it. I like it too. It's a cute name. And so in 1985, she was 24 years old, young, full of life. And that's a picture of your beloved mother up there on the screen. That's Deborah. She's the baby of the family.
Yep.
But
She's the baby.
the baby. But so Katrina's working at a country club. She's 24. Now, before she did this, she was living in Kansas, right? Before she went back to Dallas at this time. And she was in an accident, correct?
She was always back and forth. She was never
Right.
permanently in Dallas or Kansas for that matter. She always was going back and forth. Like, I think Joanne would talk her into coming back to Dallas a lot of times. Like maybe she got too bored.
Yeah. Wanted to have her sister there.
Yeah.
But while she was in Kansas, before she left, she'd had a terrible traffic accident and really hurt herself.
Yep. She was on her way home from work from the country club here.
Okay. And so did she break her back or just
Um,
damage?
I mean, I've just seen it like on the news clippings and articles. It just said that she had some broken bones like in her back or her neck or some fractures or something. I can't remember exactly what it said off the
Right.
top of my head, but she was in a wheelchair. I know that. She was in a wheelchair for like a few months, if not like 6 months, I think,
And
while
so
she healed.
she was finally just getting around good, right? When she went back to Dallas,
Mhm. Yep.
you know. And this is a picture of the quilt that her grandmother made, and each child had squares with their pictures, which is a great memory quilt.
And I have it. I'm the one that has it.
Oh, I'm so happy for you because I'm sure that means a whole lot.
It
Hey,
was it
Lazy
was
River,
really
thanks for joining us.
it was pretty top of the line for its time. I mean, no one was
Oh,
putting
yeah.
pictures on blankets yet at
Well,
that point.
no, not. I mean, that wasn't even close. They didn't even hardly know of that technology back then. So,
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
Grandma was ahead of her time. She wanted to have her girls with her. So Katrina is feeling better. She goes back to Dallas. She's 24. It's 1985. She's having some fun. She's working as a waitress. Um, and then on May 30th of 1985, just weeks before she is she dies, a man, we're going to call him Kicker, because he kicked in Katrina's apartment door, and he was armed with a loaded weapon. So it wasn't like just someone, "I'm mad at you, I'm kicking in your door." He actually had a gun loaded,
I think it had
and
5 live rounds in it.
that had to be terrifying.
Yeah.
So how did the police get there?
The police were already there apparently on an unrelated call or incident. And they actually kind of just caught him red-handed when he did it, although she did call 911 as well.
Oh,
But
okay.
they were actually already over there for like a domestic dispute or something with like nearby and watched it happen.
Okay, so and that was just a few weeks before this incident that's going to take place.
Yeah, 3 weeks ish.
So in mid-June, your Katrina she was planning to come back to Kansas for a visit. And then your mom and her were on the phone with each other. And as sisters do, they had a little tiff, and your mom hung up on her because she figured, well, I'll see her in a couple of weeks. Mm.
They always hung up on each other.
Well, that was back in the day when you could hang up on people and it was fun.
Like angrily just slam the phone down.
yeah.
We kind of miss that with cell phones. Kids today have no idea the pleasure that can bring you.
I know.
But so she hung up the phone on her sister, but Katrina was planning on coming up, but she doesn't show up. And on June 25th of 1985 at 4:52 p.m. in Dallas, the cops respond to an alley in Oak Cliff after an apartment manager complains about a strong odor coming from a vehicle. And this vehicle is a blue 1978 Ford LTD, and they discovered Katrina's badly decomposed body. She's wrapped in a stained bed sheet. There are 2 belts, or just pin that for a moment, guys, because we're going to come back to that. There's some strange things happening with that. But she has 2 items, one around her neck and one directly, so that's right on her skin, and the other is over the sheet. And this is where the case is going to get disturbing. And I want you guys to really pay attention to this because you're all going to be outraged. This is a picture of what the car was like. So, not just because this is a crime, but what happens with this investigation is going to make you all mad. I only fan slamming your iPhones, not the same thing, dear. But
Don't
go
slam
for
the
it.
iPhone.
You slam the iPhone and you pay big bucks.
So, from the beginning, when they get to this car, the trunk is locked. And I mean, it's locked with a key. It's not just like today. They used
Yeah,
to have
you
number-
don't have a remote that you just, press the button and the trunk opens, so.
Right. So the trunk is locked. When they actually, you told me they had to contact what was it, a tow company or something to come get the door,
A
the trunk open?
locksmith. Yeah, like a locksmith or a tow company that had a crowbar that could actually pry the trunk open.
So the key's not anywhere in the vehicle. It's not in the trunk. The key is missing. Okay, we got a picture here, guys. You see the picture?
So we know there's at least two keys too.
Yeah.
One's for the engine, and the other one's usually, like back in those days, one was for the door and the
Auxiliary,
trunk.
yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Because this is 1985. And so no keys. They find no keys. Okay, you guys. So they find Katrina in the trunk, and the police seem to determine that they're not going to call this a homicide. So they tell her family Katrina committed suicide. Did you all get that? She's in a trunk.
Yeah.
She's without clothing. She's wrapped in a sheet with something around her neck and then something around the sheet to hold it on her. She also needed glasses, correct? Or she couldn't drive.
She was legally blind without her glasses, yes.
So,
obviously the police department needed glasses too.
so technically they're trying to say that this woman with no glasses and no clothing drives across town, puts herself in the trunk after wrapping something around her neck, something around a sheet, crawls in the trunk, locks herself in, but there are no keys and no glasses.
Yeah.
Barney Fife would have done better.
Well, yeah.
Because this was 6 miles from the apartment where we had Kicker 3 weeks earlier try and kick the door in. So she's 6 miles from home. And this is the scenario that they're going to try and say she committed suicide.
I don't think that was ever like a determination. I think it was like more of a suggestion, like kind of trying to feel it out a little bit to see what the family would say at that point. And they were just like, oh, absolutely not. And so then they list, at that point, the family's like, oh, no way. So then they kind of reverted to the overdose claim, or I guess misrepresentation.
Right. So
I just don't understand how any police officer in their right mind would look at that scene and go, this is a suicide.
Yeah. Well, a self-deletion, let's call it that, because YouTube gets upset with us.
Okay.
And I forgot to.
Right.
But so I think I really think, kind of like Katrina was saying, it was a situation where if they would have said, oh, well, she had depression problems, they could have written it off.
Exactly.
And it would have gone away. But the family's like, no, there's no possible way.
Yeah.
This didn't
Mostly
happen.
my mom. My mom just knew. They were really, really close, and they were together all the time. My mom was in Dallas a lot with her as well.
And your mom was the baby of the family, so she really looked up to her oldest sister.
Yeah, that was her idol.
Yeah, and anybody that has sisters, you would understand that. And even brothers, I'm sure, have that feeling with each other at times. But okay, so that theory didn't go over well. So Sergeant Harold Rice So let's get Sergeant Harold Rice's name out there. He told reporters there was evidence she had used cocaine and she died of an overdose. So that was the next big thing. And they actually put that in print, in a newspaper that she overdosed. He said,
Twice.
we speculate she died on, somebody. Like she overdosed and they just got scared and put her in the trunk. It's not going to be classified as a deletion because we don't know who put her in there. So that was
Because
his
it's
little,
not illegal to put someone's body in a trunk or anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been under the impression that when you move a body, that's kind of wrong. And
Or
this is a
conceal it
picture.
in any way.
Yeah, this is a picture of Katrina when she was living at the apartment that was her last apartment. Because we're going to find there are two addresses because there's more conflicting stories here, you guys. And one of the stories is going to start with when Katrina was last seen. Because your mother got told that Katrina had a roommate, right?
I don't know. I've never heard my mom say that.
But she was told that somebody had seen her on the 24th.
They told me that
Oh, they told you
initially.
that. Okay. So because they found her on the 25th of June in the trunk of the car. And I'll tell you right now, I did check the temperature for 1985. The 23rd is when they think that she passed. It was 89 degrees. On the 24th and 25th, both days were 91 degrees. And that is very
Oh,
warm,
yeah.
but not the hottest for Dallas. But it
Mm.
is hot.
Yeah.
It's hot if you're locked in a trunk. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
hot.
yeah.
She was also wrapped very tightly, like, like a burrito in a bed sheet, like 3 times or something. So it's not like she was super exposed,
Right.
to any elements either, though. So, she, like, her body was contained ish. And so
Right.
I'm not totally convinced on that timeline of the decomposition and
Yeah.
like details
Well, there's some big questions about
and
the whole
overlapping timelines.
Oh, yeah.
because supposedly they tell you, well, a roommate saw her on the 24th, but there were two witnesses at the apartment, a handyman and perhaps a manager that said the car was there on the 24th or the night.
I
So
think
how was
Saturday
she
night or
spotted?
something.
And yet they're saying
Exactly.
the car was there. It's not
Right. Actually, I think it was like 4 to 5 witnesses, and they were all witnesses associated with that apartment complex. And so, like, they were either, residents that lived there, the maintenance man, and, the manager of the apartment complex, of course. I think she might have lived there as well, the manager lady, but
right.
um,
And so whoever the person was that they told you said, "Well, we saw her on this day." There's just no way because the car
yeah.
was sitting there and she had been in it.
And it went from having a handwritten statement from that individual to, oh, I don't see that in the file anymore. Like,
So it
Well,
disappeared.
yeah,
and
that
another
information got takey backsies, I guess.
and another interesting fact that you had shared with me is first they told you they weren't sure where she lived. Now, 3 weeks earlier, there's a police report with her address on it. Hello. But there was also another address associated with her, which was an older apartment because
Yeah, I
she
do
had
know she had
newly
just
moved.
Yep, she had just moved
Right.
recently, so it was a newer apartment. Actually, it was newer built apartment and also a newer apartment for her as well.
So right there's some questions because they kind of implied that perhaps in the first apartment she had a roommate, not sure about the new apartment if the roommate came with her. Later, doesn't your mother get told by someone not to mention their family member who was a possible roommate or something?
No, I don't think my mom never really talked much about that part of it. She was really like I guess, guilt ridden about that hang up call.
Yeah.
So whenever we kind of got on that subject for that day, it was just kind of touch and go, and I mean go quick.
Right.
um,
And your mom
so
actually wrote for a newspaper in Kansas, correct?
and no, she lived in Arizona
Oh, she
when
lived in
she was
Arizona. Okay.
when she wrote for her local newspaper.
Okay. And so she wrote, and I'm sure that that was hard for her because here's her sister, and to hear these things being said, they're talking about toxicology, so you're thinking, okay, well, she overdosed. Now,
Well, I don't think my mom ever saw the newspaper clippings.
oh, okay. But 2020 happened. So we're going to jump ahead for just a bit, you guys. 2020 happened in the pandemic, and you decided because your mom was getting the runaround that you would send off for some information, right?
Yeah. Um, she was just really upset one day, and when we talked on a lunch break, and I just, I don't know, my intuition, my gut just kind of told me, you know, you're an adult now. Maybe it's time for you to step in a little bit and kind of put some pressure, because she was always like the emotional one, and I was kind of always the confrontational uh, one. We didn't always get along very well either, my mom and I. So, you know,
As
I
people do.
yeah, and she was just very emotional, kind of, sensitive and empathetic, and I didn't have that as much of like that emotional connection to this case like she did. And so I was able to kind of set the feeling part of it aside, and be able to logically, and balanced, in a logical mindset, talk to law enforcement in a way that wasn't super biased or like, accusing,
Right.
um,
Because
kind of a
you never
way.
met your aunt, right? You never,
Right. I'm named after her in her memory. So
right,
no, I
right.
met Joanne, yes, but
You
not
met Joanne, but
Katrina.
you'd never met Catherine. And
Mm,
so you didn't have that connection to her like your mom did, who this was her hero.
exactly.
So you sent off to get the toxicology report.
Well,
And
first I called.
okay. And what did they tell you when you called?
Well, from the vibes I was getting from my mom, I thought maybe, she might have been a little biased. Of course, in her responses and stuff. And I was just like, I just want to see what they tell me. I just want to see if they
Right.
would, give me anything else, you know. And they tried the same exact thing with me. They tried to give me the runaround.
But they
And
didn't know you, did they?
well, they do now.
But then they did why don't you tell everybody kind of what your background is with what you do as a kind of your investigative skills.
Well, wasn't by choice. Just happened to stem from this. um, I guess, I had to get really, when one door, closed, I had to get creative to open another one or open a window. Sometimes I had to climb out of the window and fall down outside.
Right.
Like there wasn't a door or window to go out of, you had to like build one or create one, or, go above the door or below the door, so to speak, type,
But with your
metaphorically.
but the job that you have now, you do investigative stuff kind of in a different realm, but you're used to looking through paperwork and checking things, and so that part wasn't new to you.
That part wasn't new to me, and I had, a base foundation for those, legal terminology terms and what they really mean, and that was really useful. I went to school to be a paralegal, so I've worked as a paralegal in that aspect for some years.
So
um,
they didn't
So
see you
so you
coming.
spoke legalese there, So
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
And they didn't see her coming. They just thought it was another family member that, had no clue about anything. So they were
or
gonna just
didn't.
They were just going to try and
took
pull the
everything
same.
they said at face value, which I do not ever. So
And they were just going to tell you the same kind of stories they had kind of strung your mom along with, and you're like, something's not right.
that's what prompted me to start digging more. So at that point, I was like, I need something in black and white. Like, on the legal part of my brain, I'm just like, you need some kind of documentation, something in black and white, something that, you can physically view with your own eyes. That's a legal document. So I ordered the death certificate and I ordered a copy of the police report from when she was found.
Okay. And from those documents, your mother thought this whole time that that this was a cold case, but they were still looking at it as a homicide.
Yes.
But when you got the death certificate, what did the death certificate tell you?
Well, I got the death certificate pretty quick. Actually really quick, surprisingly. But I did not get the police report until after my mom had already passed away. I didn't get that for 6 months or something like that. But the death certificate, she knew I had ordered it. We kind of had talked about it before I did that because I asked her if she had ever ordered it. And she hadn't for some reason, and that kind of surprised me too. And she always was, texting me, let me know when you get it. If you get it today, are you going to get it today? Like send it, I want you to send it to me immediately as soon as you get it. And as soon as I got it, because I was in Kansas and she was in Arizona, I knew as soon as I saw it and read it, I was like, oh, crap. This is not going to go well. It said that the cause and manner of death was undetermined following autopsy, toxicology, and investigation.
And at that time, did you have the toxicology report?
No, that all was with the police report and everything. That
Okay.
all came way, way later. Way, way
Okay.
later. No one ever knew that she had not died of a drug overdose. I was the one that found that and uncovered that, and I was the one that yeah, that was a jaw drop moment.
Yeah. So at this point, your mother had difficulties dealing with Catherine's death.
Both of
And
them, really.
yeah, and in 1923, your aunt, Joanne, down in Dallas, Texas, just a mile from where Catherine,
1923.
yeah, 1993,
93.
Joanne ended up being deleted. Now, she actually did get some justice because the person that harmed her ended up calling the cops on himself, and he went to prison for a while.
Yeah, the hotel room that she was killed in was literally registered in his name. So
Yeah.
that was
So
never like in question or anything. He never denied it or tried to run or anything. So
right. So not only did your mother deal with Catherine's death, but then in 1993, her middle sister, Joanne, is deleted in a horrendous way. And so she's got these two sisters, they're gone now. And then all of a sudden you get
she's got a baby too, me.
yeah, and she's got you, and then she gets this report that says that your Catherine's wasn't a homicide, it was undetermined. And that was too much for your mom to handle. And unfortunately, your mother self-deleted herself. And you didn't understand how bad your mom was dealing with it until after, and you got her psychiatric records.
Yeah, I started digging. I took a few months, away to like kind of grieve and everything. And it was during the pandemic anyway. So of course we caught COVID in my house. But come the next February after my mom died in November of 2020, so that next February is when that police report, I'd forgotten all about even ordering it. And then I got it in my email and was like, oh yeah. And so I was like, what the heck is this? Everything's redacted. Why is everything blacked out? It was not even 2 pages, like a page and a half.
And so your next step was to contact who?
The medical examiner for the autopsy and toxicology.
And when you got those results, what was the toxicology? Because we know she had this huge cocaine addiction. But what did the toxicology say?
There were no drugs in her system at the time of her death.
Yeah. Wow, Barney Fife, you messed up again. You put
And
it
it
in
was
public.
never communicated to anyone. Like my grandparents went to their dying day in their graves thinking that their daughter died of a cocaine overdose.
I mean, I would think right there, I'm sorry you ruined this woman's reputation by putting this out in the public.
Absolutely, 100%.
And now we will take a moment and talk about Joanne, that she was a wild child and she kind of was a little sketchy at times. So Joanne would sometimes get herself in trouble and she would use Katrina's name, oopsie
And
daisies,
everyone else's.
and everybody else's that she could think of. So you kind of wonder sometimes, did what happened to Katrina, could it have been something perhaps Joanne had got herself into? We don't know. There's just no answers right now because nobody investigated anything.
Nope.
Katrina, back in 1985, had a relationship with, we'll call him the cheater because he was married at the time. Don't know if she knew that. See, I don't give him human names. You know, I know you were on John Lorden, and he's a sweet man, and he just gives them different names. I
Yeah.
give them names that they deserve.
Yeah,
And
I've got them nicknamed as well in my files. So.
And we're not revealing names because Katrina has to be careful what she reveals right now, because this is still technically an open case, even though nobody is doing anything but her. She's the investigator on everything because nobody in the Dallas Police Department wants to do a thing. And she will be kind and not say anything because she still needs a relationship with them. I don't know them. I don't care. They're not good. They're not good guys. So the cheater, the vehicle that Katrina was found in belonged to him, correct?
Correct.
And he had loaned it to her for a couple of weeks because he knew she was going to go to see her sister in
She
Kansas.
did take it often. She took it often.
So she took this vehicle often because he had several. It's not like this was his only vehicle, or I'm sure his wife would have been upset. So whenever they get a hold of him, he didn't even know that the vehicle was in town or where it was, supposedly.
He thought it was in Kansas with her.
Yeah. And they say that his alibi is solid, which is interesting because we really don't, because they're saying she was deceased on June 23rd, but we don't know. Because the autopsy is horrid. The police work is horrid. Like I said, Barney Fife with his one bullet would have done better with this case. So there are so many questions as to what actually happened. Now, there was also a person, we'll call him Pee Wee, who knew your Katrina, had been with, grown up around him. And she actually went with him down to Dallas that time. So he was in Kansas. They go down to Dallas. He's doing his thing. She's doing her thing, but they knew each other, right?
Well, I think he was already down there and he just had family members in Kansas or something, if I remember correctly. But they did have a connection that went back pretty far. And they were actually roommates at one point as well, back in like the earlier 80s or something, when she had first gone there. But
it was more of a family connection.
It was just the guy best friend. He was a lot older than she was, to be fair. But
And your mom was always kind of skeptical if he had something to do with Katrina's.
Yeah, apparently there was a rumor going around in Dallas that my mom had passed away or something. And he started sending sympathy cards to my grandparents in Kansas. But it was just a rumor, of course. But then when Katrina died, like actually died, no one ever heard a peep from him.
That is odd.
And so that's kind of what that's what really, I guess, convinced her.
That he might have had something to do with it.
Yes.
So we have 3 guys. We have the kicker, we have the cheater, and we have Pee Wee. All 3 of them were circling around in Katrina's life. And we don't know, all these people are a little sketch, you guys. They're all a little sketch. So we don't know who could have done what. And we don't know if they knew Joanne, if they all kind of ran in the same circle.
Joanne did kind of like to go off and do her own thing, it seemed like.
Okay.
She kind of liked to go out on her own and see what kind of crap she could stir up and get out of. It was like a game to her.
Well, and the thing was, the sisters do look similar. I mean, they're not identical in any means, but there are similarities. So if someone didn't perhaps know them as well, they could have been mistaken for one another. At one
Or,
time, they both had
sending
long,
a
dark.
message to the other one, maybe.
Yeah. So there is that. But so you get the toxicology, no drugs. There's no drugs. Okay. So now they're still trying to say it's undetermined. So we have someone that is found in the trunk of a car. She's gone. They say that there was too much decomp for them to determine what happened to her. But the autopsy report you got, there's some things missing. There's
Yeah,
paperwork.
that was definitely the mic drop moment, I guess you could say. That was the point of no return for me, technically, I would say. That was probably like the pivotal 100%. I couldn't go back if I wanted to moment in this. Like,
Right.
I was just floored, like speechless, literally speechless, which never happened. I just was not expecting that.
Well, and you also found out from your mother's half brother that Katrina was a very light sleeper.
Yeah. And that she
So,
was always a light sleeper, and that if anyone would have woken her up out of her sleep, she would have woke up.
right. And so you and I had that discussion because she was found without clothing. And of course, they say they did a rape kit and it was negative. But at this point, who do we trust? Because they didn't send you that information. So who knows? But
So we don't
I
even know if they have the rape kit.
no, really, we don't. But my thought was, could she have been getting out of the shower? Because, you get, I don't know about you, but I don't wear my clothes in the shower,
Or your
with
glasses.
or your glasses. Exactly. And she was
That's
legally
the
blind.
that was the only way I could, justify her not wearing them, would be
Yeah.
if she was in the shower or she was sleeping.
Right. So, I mean, those are 2 explanations as to what, when they could have gotten to her. I thought one of the interesting points was when you had, they were acting like they had no idea where she lived, but in some of the paperwork that you had sent me, it said that they had found her suitcase sitting next to the door. Well, if you found her suitcase sitting next to the door for her to go somewhere, that means you must have been into the place she lived. I hate to tell you guys.
Well, they said they didn't know for sure what her current address was. And then I found out later on about the incident of kicker kicking the door in or whatever. And I'm like, well, how did you guys not know where she lives? Because in this report right here, from just 3 weeks prior to her body being found, someone was literally kicking her door in and attacking her.
Right.
How do you not have any idea where she lives? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, I am not an expert, and even I can do 1+1. Like,
Yeah. We don't need no new math. We can figure this
that
out.
information should have been readily available on the police report. I mean, right? I mean,
you would think.
yeah.
There's a beautiful picture of Katrina with her mama, Deborah. You know, happier times. And she was a pretty lady. She was a really pretty lady. But yeah, that just doesn't make sense. It's like you're telling everybody you have no idea where she lives, but yet you have a police report with her name on it and an address. So you knew where she lived.
That's how I was able to. I honestly had to piece these puzzle pieces together as I went. And the more I found out, and just kind of figure, I had to find the story myself. And I wasn't even alive at that time yet. So I just really, really had to do digging and digging and digging and digging.
Yeah.
When I had time available, like outside of my own children and my own, career and everything. So.
Right. Well, Chris, getting the Texas Rangers involved would be great, but Dallas won't let them. See, this is
They won't.
Dallas's case.
They
So they're
won't let
just,
anyone do anything with it.
yeah, because she has asked for a review of the case, and they're not letting her have a review of the case from somebody outside. I don't know. We might have to shame the Dallas PD because nobody's doing anything. In fact, the one person that was supposed to be somewhat assisting you sent you an email by mistake complaining about you. He thought he was sending it to the Attorney General's office, right?
Oh boy.
Or the DA's office. And so he's complaining about you, but he sent it to you.
Yep. Must have been on the forefront of his mind, I guess.
But this is just how backwards everything is going with this case. Is she's not getting help.
It was very like, it was a very, very much like a how dare you drag my name through the dirt after everything you've put us through, like in this investigation kind of situation. Like, it was just insult to injury.
Yeah. Oh, I don't blame you. I mean, you're just wanting to get some justice for your aunt.
Right. And why would they go gossip like schoolgirls to like different departments? I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
I've responded so that they learned how to send an email accurately and correctly. And I CC'd all the people that they meant to go to on it. That way, everyone can make sure, we all understood how to send an email. So.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oopsie daisies. But one of the things, because as you guys know, I sent the autopsy report to Lissa, Yellowbird Chase, because unfortunately she's had to look at a lot of autopsy reports. And the first thing she was like was, there's things missing. She said, where is because all autopsy reports, even in 85, had the photo of a body so that they can mark where things are, like scars or different things or injuries. They didn't send that to Katrina. So there are things missing from what they sent her. They're not sending her all the information.
So we here again, we don't know if they even have that.
No. And if they don't, then that means someone didn't do their job. Well, but you finally sent off a request and got it approved through a judge to get some of the evidence, correct? So that you could have it tested.
I had to get a search warrant signed off on by a judge in order to search the biological evidence storage and also physical evidence storage.
Okay. Now we know she was found in the trunk of the car. She didn't have clothes on, so we know there's a sheet and there's the thing around her neck and around the sheet. And you got that, right?
What do you
You got
mean?
you got those items to get them tested?
You would think.
Okay.
Yeah, you would think. 3 of the most important pieces of evidence, and nobody knows where it's at.
They don't know where they're at, or they just didn't want to give them to you, but they're under a court order to do so, right?
Yes. That's a picture of Joanne, you guys. Yeah.
Hmm.
So she has a court order to get all the evidence, but there's no sheet and neither of the 2 items. And these are like the most key parts of the evidence because they were around Katrina.
They said that those items were never kept from the start.
Why?
Right.
Why, people? We're
Right.
asking Dallas why. Why? That
I-
it makes no sense.
I concur.
I mean, that just makes absolutely no sense. So what they had was they had a Crown Royal bag that was in the trunk with Katrina.
I guess that's the evidence of cocaine, since I guess everyone liked to put their drugs in those bags.
Yeah, let's
Maybe,
keep
I
a
don't know.
Crown Royal bag, but the items that she was wrapped in, we don't need to keep those.
We also kept a sweater from the back seat that she was not in.
And then they also found a shoe, a man shoe.
One shoe.
And was that in the trunk with her?
Yes.
So we
It was
kept
a sandal.
we
A
kept a
sandal.
man's sandal. That might be important.
Sears and Roebuck.
I mean, if you didn't laugh a little, you would absolutely break down in tears over this because this is like the worst.
Well, you look at that situation, you know, I'm just going to call it incompetency.
Yeah.
You know,
Malfeasance.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, you look at 1985 and to 35 years later.
40.
40.
Well, now it's 40. Yeah. But in 2020, when you were first looking into this, it was 35 years. Nothing had changed in the working of the Dallas PD.
Yeah.
It was still the same MO.
Yeah.
And of course, at that point, they were able to use the pandemic excuse for literally everything. You know, we don't have people in the office right now. Everyone's at home. We're adjusting. You know, everyone's doing what they can. So it's going to take a little longer for this or a little longer for that. And that was fine. I accepted that. I knew that was, sure, whatever, if you say so, even though I don't know what excuses the last 30 years, but
yeah, we're 4 years past that,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
and let's be honest, 1985, they still had enough technology that this should have been seriously looked at. I mean, we're not talking about
I think that they just didn't want to deal with it. I think that they needed to sweep it under the rug for some reason or another. Or they didn't. I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily like them doing it on purpose. Even like, sure, maybe they were overworked and didn't have enough staffing, as I usually am hearing these days. But that's not my problem. Like, do you want me to start a GoFundMe and raise money for you guys, or what do you guys need to reprioritize your funds or something better than, because I don't know.
Yeah.
These are your citizens, like, of your city, and you're like one of the top 5 or 10 biggest police departments in the whole nation.
Well, and on the side of their car, it has this really cool little saying. It says to protect and serve.
Themselves.
Yeah. And I looked into the history of problems for Dallas Police Department's track record. In 1985 and 1986, the DPD was facing significant challenge, including a high rate of officer-involved killings, serious issues with case investigations. During the 70s and 80s, Dallas police deleted more residents per capita than several other major cities, including New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. There was a persistent culture of police brutality in Dallas, a lack of accountability that contributed to what experts described as racial or radicalized violence and citizen abuse. The department had problems solving cases too. Cold case homicides from this era remain unsolved for decades, with declining clearance rates and limited forensic resources.
If
Now,
they were even classified as a homicide to begin with.
Yeah, there you go.
exactly, because your aunt's was declared undetermined. But their current issues, because they're not getting better, the problems haven't gone away. Just this month, Katrina had sent me an article that said, "We're seeing reports of Dallas police officers calling the pension system in unusually high numbers, saying, 'I need to leave now.' The executive director says she's talking them off the ledge." Also, Dallas County Jail is in crisis, with over 7,000 inmates crammed in facilities. Many kept months past their release dates due to a failed software system that's costing the taxpayer millions in lawsuits. So when a department is in constant crisis, cold cases like Katrina's get pushed aside. But some departments are getting it right. Arlington, Texas shows us how it was done. They just announced they solved a 1985 cold case, which was the brutal deletion of a 22-year-old UTA student who was beaten and essayed and killed. They used investigative genetic genealogy. Dallas, I know those are big words. Genetic genealogy to identify the person who killed her, who had died by self-deletion months after the murder. But at least they had a name, and the victim's family got some answers. Her sister said, "I honestly cannot believe that we are standing here today and our family cannot express our gratitude to the fact that we have answers." So remember, you guys, when we covered Sarah Isabel Martinez's case, it was the Arlington police who went looking finally for where Sarah's friends lived on that one street in Arlington, because Fort Worth was taking their time putting information into the system. And they finally listened to Samantha and went ahead and tried finding her daughter. So Fort Worth and Dallas, they have some problems. But that's what real police work looks like. That's what the Mowrey family deserves, but they didn't get it. And
Well, I personally don't even believe that DNA is needed to solve this case.
no,
I
it
don't
would
think
help.
DNA is needed. Sure, it would help, but I don't think that it is a factor that is necessarily required to solve this case. I think they just need to start at square one and do their due diligence. And it would probably, if they spent half as much time investigating this case as they do arguing with me about it, we
Yeah.
would be so much further. And I'm
Well,
not sure why they always think that like I'm against them. Like I'm doing the work. Like I'm here. Take it. Take this work. You can claim it as your own even. I don't care. Just do something with
right.
it.
Well, and the scary part is you're running out of time because like the kicker has passed away. We have the cheater, uh, Pee Wee, who they said they never could find, but you ended up locating a police report that he was in jail at one time. So you found him.
The next year, less than
The
a year
next
later,
the next year you found Pee Wee, but they couldn't.
in the Dallas County Jail for murder.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, what's going on, guys? What is going on? Um, it's just, you know,
Definitely not police work.
no, it's not. And this isn't the only family going through this. That's the
Oh,
scary part.
That
Because
is the scary part.
like Katrina said, how many other deaths do perhaps family members think they're being investigated, but if they pulled the death certificate, they would find out they're undetermined.
Yeah, it's like a space of like just void and like gray space or a gray area that's just kind of floating there. Doesn't have any real classification, but it's not technically like solved or like
Right.
closed exactly until it's convenient, of course. But
Yeah. And Chris, yeah, she doesn't have a PI. She is the PI on this case. Because sadly, a lot of families don't have the money to go and hire an outside person to dig into this. So she's having to do this all herself.
I don't think a
Um,
PI could do much better, honestly.
I don't think so,
I
girl. You
I
have
don't
dug
see.
up some awesome information. You
And
really have.
it comes like a lot of it comes from like memories from like when I was younger, like random conversations I've either overheard or I've had with my mom at the cemetery or something, or a story that resonates with the same people or something, and it will just trigger something in my mind. And I'm like, oh my gosh, oh yeah, I remember my mom talking about that one time. It's just, but I never know what it is until it happens, of course.
Right. Because your mom is gone, your grandparents are gone. So there aren't a lot of people still that have the stories. So
None.
you're having to go back on memories and what you can remember. Another thing you had asked the police is what happened to Katrina's belongings
Yep. Like who
because
were they
nobody
released
knows.
to? What was it? Did the sheet she was wrapped in, did it match, the other bedding in her apartment or her bed?
Right.
Just little things, but those little things are a big thing because that might tell us, more than likely she was probably killed in her apartment as
Right.
opposed to somewhere else if they wrapped her up in one of her own sheets,
And if
like that
not,
kind of
then there
thing.
has to be another crime scene somewhere.
Exactly.
It's the little pieces that you've been putting together. On our server, I'm going to open up a channel for Katrina Mowrey's cold case. If anybody has ideas, um, come in and chat. Share your ideas of what you think could have happened. Anything that we can help Katrina here with. Her and I have chatted quite a few times over different ideas and what we thought how this could have taken place because something needs to happen. She's still waiting because she did send some stuff off to Othram Lab, so she's still waiting on that information. But it's been 40 years. There is no reason that they should be holding out on you all these documents at 40 years.
Especially because the reasons they cite are that it's a pending or open investigation that that has
How is
been
it a
pending for
pending
40 years.
investigation if they keep telling you it's undetermined?
Yeah.
I mean, that tells me they're not doing anything,
Yep,
and
me
yet they're
too.
trying to pretend they are.
Well,
That
it's really
that
hard to, like be civil and cordial with someone when they've literally, badmouthed you directly in an email that got even sent
yeah.
to you. Like, how do you pretend like something like that didn't even happen? Like,
Yeah.
everyone's like, well, you got to get along with law enforcement if you want them to work on your case. Well, okay, I'm trying, but they're stupid.
And I don't blame you. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is one of the worst cases I've ever heard. Um, I want everyone Nancy Grace, find her page. I think it's called Crime Online or something. we need to send emails in. She needs to get on, Nancy Grace's show. Let's get her as much publicity as we can on this case. Share this, because this case, I think she's right. I think it could be solved. It needs to be solved before everybody's gone. You know,
Well, I
um,
can tell you that there is biological evidence currently at the lab being tested from the crime scene. Um,
and we're just waiting on answers.
yeah, and I know that like DNA evidence and any evidence really is just going to deteriorate over time, especially if it's not preserved correctly. So I know that if the more you test it, the more diluted it kind of gets, basically. And
Right.
so they were kind of waiting until they had better, technology or whatever. Anyway, and so now they have 4 single hair strands, 4 single hair shafts that are being tested that are suspect hairs
Right.
for mitochondrial DNA testing.
Yeah, Chris, John Lorden already did this last year. He covered this case. Yeah, because he's an awesome person to cover the case, and he's astonished too. It's just like,
I had
where are the
COVID during that
answers?
interview.
Huh?
I had COVID during that interview.
Oh
Oh,
man. Well, you sounded great.
It felt like I was swallowing a razor blade for what
Oh
it's worth.
man.
oh,
And John is so good.
Yeah,
I'll be
yes.
the first. John does great interviews. And I'm a huge fan because he did, I sent him Sarah's case and he did that case, which was awesome. But we need to get the word out on this because Katrina deserves answers as to what happened to her aunt, because she not only lost her aunt Catherine, her mother she lost her over this whole issue because it was too much for her to handle. Because she felt guilty. She had been lied to. She thought this was being investigated, and it was not. She has the cheater, which is the car owner, supposedly with this airtight alibi. We have Pee Wee, who was the one that her mother thinks had something to do with it. Even though the kickers passed away, the reason he said he was trying to kick down her door is she wouldn't answer her pager.
Beep beep.
Lord help us.
yeah.
I mean, there's more to that story too.
Yeah, no. Wait a minute. He kicked down the door with a loaded gun.
Yeah, and held it on her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she wouldn't answer her pager.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's just some, like I told you guys, there's some sketchy individuals
Yeah.
in this, and nobody was investigating. And again, I ask why. Did somebody know somebody? What was the deal?
Yeah, I've asked all of those questions plus many more to anyone at any given time within law enforcement, and no one seems to know what's going on or has a working phone for that matter, much less an email. I mean, it's like playing a game of Russian roulette, trying to like get a hold of anyone. But I know that as far as I'm concerned, as since the day I received the toxicology and autopsy back, like I really had to make that decision, either let it go forever and don't even waste your energy with it. Or I had to, go 100%. There's never any in between with me. It's a blessing and a curse, but I knew that if I needed, I had to pick one. I had to let it go and move on, or I had to, but I had to weigh those pros and cons, of course. And I, had to consider, what danger I might be putting me or my children in
Yeah.
terms of pursuing this. And it kind of just dawned on me that, there's already danger out there if there's a killer walking the streets.
Right.
About especially one that knows my name, since I'm named after the victim. It wouldn't be hard to track down, I guess. So I had to jump in with both feet and head first, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not letting it go until I die, so they can fight me for the rest of my life if they really want to, but I wouldn't recommend it.
No, I
Not
wouldn't
letting
either
it
because
go.
this chick's a warrior, you guys. She's the things that she has uncovered, because like I said, there's limited information we can share. I do want to have Katrina back because just to tell her story of the different things she's had to go through, and also maybe some advice she can give people that are searching. What are some steps to take, where to look? Because until you've had to do it, it doesn't come with a book that tells you what to do.
Huh.
And so you kind of got to
And
make a lot of this up yourself as to what steps.
sometimes you just need someone rooting in your corner.
Well, our team, our community is rooting for you. We are going
Thank
to
you.
root for you. Like I said, I'm going to put a channel tonight in on our server for your aunt. So you can go in there anytime and check it out and see if anybody's got any information, or any ideas, you know, and we'll keep reaching out to people. Like I said, you guys share this episode. Fallow, what can you do? Share the episode. Um, put, if you've got Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or let's get the
Social
info.
media.
Yeah, any
Yeah.
social
Social
media,
media.
get it out there. Say, we want to find this. Um, you know, let's try and get some things going. I'm still trying to get the emails together for the South Dakota Chief of Police for that for Thursday night. So who knows? Might be looking up the Chief of Police email. I have his phone number, but it's just a regular number. I'll show that to you. But real quickly, let's go over our missing people before we let Katrina go. Remember these faces I'm going to show you today, because when you're out in public, at a store, a gas station, or man's transit, planes, trains, buses, stay aware of your surroundings, guys. Human trafficking and missing persons cases happen everywhere. Victims often hide in plain sight. Some people choose to disappear and then find themselves in circumstances that aren't safe, and others don't get a choice. So the person you see could be someone's missing family member. Trust your instincts. If you recognize someone from today's cases or witness something that you think is sketchy, don't assume someone else is calling it in. Do your diligence. You can make a difference here between someone coming home safely or remaining lost forever. Have the power to save a life. Um, so if you don't want to call the cops, it makes you sketch or makes you nervous, and you feel uncomfortable, we have an email. It's called tips for trial junkies united at gmail.com. It'll be in our description. We'll pass along information. I'll call the cops. I don't care. Our first
They
person,
have ways you can submit it to like anonymously.
yeah, Crime Stoppers usually has a way to do it. And our first person is Alexis Hamilton. She's 33. The last time someone had contact was June 5th of this year. She is with the Assiniboine and Sioux tribe. She's 5'2", 110 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. She was in Colorado Springs. She could be in Pueblo or La Junta area in Colorado. I'm probably saying that wrong, and I
La Junta?
apologize.
La Junta?
La Junta. The Colorado Springs Police Department is 719-444-7000. This case is a special case. It's Amanda Lesswell. She's 43. She's been missing since July 23rd from Olympia, Washington area of 4th Avenue East, and may be heading toward Tacoma. She's 5'2", 140 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. She has a tattoo on the back of her hand, but they have a missing Indigenous person alert that's been activated by Washington State. The case number is 2025-4975. The MIPA is activated by their department whenever there is someone that is missing and they really think they're in danger. So please contact them if you happen to
Another
see them.
way you can help also is by submitting your DNA. either to ancestry or DNA justice or whatever, and that's how they match a lot of missing individuals or identify them, is through like extended family of family of family. That's how a lot of people are identified as well.
And that's a good point, you
Yeah.
guys. And also remember when we had Cola Ship and Tower, when she was talking about her program that actually starts with getting information before a loved one goes missing. Know what the tattoos are, have numbers, have passwords to devices, especially for your children, so that you don't have to try and guess because they don't always, we know with Sarah's case, they refuse to look in her devices. This is Desiree Ross. She's 23. She was last seen July 31st. She is from the Kakawashta First Nation in Saskatchewan, Canada. Her last contact was July 27th. She's 5'3", 210 pounds, brown eyes, may wear glasses, brown medium length hair. She's known to travel to Regina, Broadview RCMP at 310 RCMP or Saskatchewan Crime Stoppers 1-800-222-8477. And our last one is Virgil Owen Bushell Jr. He's 58. Now this is an old case. He's been missing since March 1st of 2020. He's 5'8", 180 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. His nicknames he goes by are Uppity, Buzzcut. His clothing, he had a hooded sweatshirt, blue jeans, work boots. Identifying marks, multiple tattoos, including a face on the left shoulder, Buzzcat on the right arm, a bear claw on the chest, and a lump on the forehead. Contact Humboldt County Sheriff's Office at 707-445-7439, case number 202-001599. This case that we've discussed tonight has really revealed the flaws in the system and how they treat vulnerable victims, because Katrina, they want to paint her as someone that was in this drug, world, and her toxicology came back clean. She did have some pain pills because of her back injury that she might have taken, but her toxicology was clean, so she didn't take them.
They weren't in her
death-
system at all.
Yeah, there was nothing there. Her death was quickly dismissed. The investigation was half-hearted at best, and the family was misled for decades. This is a picture of Joanna and Katrina on Remembrance Day that Katrina had posted. Some beautiful pictures. 3 sisters are gone. A mother took her own life after discovering her sister's murder didn't matter to those who swore to protect and serve. And now it's taken a niece working nearly alone, just with connections she makes to get a little bit of help, because the police department 40 years ago could not be bothered. This is Katrina's mom and her. And Katrina's not giving up, you guys. She's fighting for her aunt and her mother and Joanne, and for every family that's been let down by the system that chooses who deserves justice. If you have information about the death of Katrina Mowrey, please get in touch with the Dallas Police Department Homicide Unit at 214-671-3661. You can also reach out to our tips line. We'll be glad to pass any information on to Katrina. Don't be silent. Don't be why we share another story on this channel. If you know something, you speak up, because it wasn't a mannequin. It's never a mannequin, you guys.
And I am also 100% willing to, reach out anytime if anyone has any questions. I'm willing to, I help a lot of family members in the same situation. So, I've helped a lot of people with their own cases as well.
That is a picture of the police chief. There is a phone number and an address. Ta-da! So, we might need to ask him. Remember, if you do, you always be polite. You always tell him you're a concerned citizen. You get more flies with honey. you never are rude because we
Not
don't want
always, but
to. Well, we don't want to become between Katrina and working with these people. So let's remember that. If she wants to get a little touchy with them, she's got that right and she deserves it. We, on the other hand, are a community of truth seekers and justice warriors, so we're going to do it politely. Any last words for tonight, Katrina?
keep on keeping on.
Excellent. So this has been the Trial Junkies United. I'm Z, along with my ride or die Doc. Say goodnight, Doc.
Good night, Doc.
Until next time, stay informed, be compassionate, seek justice. Always remember silence. Our hashtag is silence is betrayal. Hashtag silence is betrayal. If you know something, say something. I will see you guys all next Thursday. And I love you and I thank you for being here with us. So, ciao, everybody. Y'all be good. And at the end, as you know, I wrote a song for us. Well, the first song was mine too, but listen to this one because it's really talking about cold cases and what happens. So give it a listen. Let me know what you think. And OnlyFan, I'm getting your video out very soon. I have it done. Doc needs to overlook it. So love you guys. Bye bye.
Ciao.
Another file gets buried deep in boxes marked unsolved. While families lose another night of sleep, their world was left unresolved. The badge that swore to serve and protect has turned the other way. We'll call you when we find something new, but that call never came. How long do we wait for justice? How long do we carry this pain when the trail goes cold and the case gets old? They act like it's all the same, but every face on that missing wall had a story worth being told. They mattered, they counted, they were loved before their case went cold. Now mothers become detectives, fathers turn into piss. Following leads the police won't chase, asking questions they won't try. Filing their own freedom of information, knocking on every door. Doing the job that should have been done 20, 30 years before. How long do we wait for justice? How long do we carry this pain when the trail goes cold and the case gets old and they act like it's all the same? But every face on that missing wall had a story worth being told. They mattered, they counted, they were loved before their case went cold. They had dreams and favorite songs. They had children, they had friends. They weren't just another number. Their story shouldn't end in a filing cabinet gathering dust while life moves along. Someone's daughter, someone's son deserves more than this song. Now the children pick up the burden that their parents couldn't solve. The next generation steps forward when the old guard won't evolve. Grandchildren seeking answers the grandmother never met. Nieces fighting for
case went cold.